I'm going to say Heroes. It was a show on NBC.
Oh, was it with the guy who played the Thing?
Yeah, he's in that. Yeah, but it's also Hayden Panettiere's in it. She's a cheerleader. This was also like Lost, where they promoted the fuck out of this for like a year. It's about around the same time Lost came out. Now that I think about it, maybe a little bit before Lost. But it was like save the cheerleader, save the world, and it was like
Oh, I'm thinking of a different show. Never mind.
yeah. But this show is the show based in a universe where everyone has powers. The first episode, there's a solar eclipse, and this is the moment where everyone's powers unlock if you have latent abilities. And it's basically following certain people around the city. It's mostly in New York. There's a few people in New York, a girl in Kansas. There's people all over the globe. There's a guy in China. There's people all over the place. And you're following a select few. You'll meet some more, but these are like the important people with powers.
Yeah.
And they're all like basically getting their powers. Like the one's a cheerleader, and she's basically Wolverine, where like she can't die, she just heals. And like her opening scene is like her and her friends like recording her, and she like jumps off a bridge, like jumps like 30 feet off a thing, and like gets up and like fucking breaks her bone. Like yeah, and it's like that was like in the trailer to the show too, where like it was like I said, it was much hype. And then they kind of introduced the big bad. And he's like this guy who like his powers, he can take other people's powers, but he has to like literally take it out of your brain type of shit. And then like I said, it was an iconic pilot episode where, like I said, it was much anticipated. It was wonderfully done. I'm assuming the budget was through the roof. And it was this really new, interesting thing that they really just hadn't been doing on TV before. Now we live in the era where like everything's superhero.
we over
Everybody's got powers, but like, and back then before it was like only Lois and Clark, but it was like Superman's up. But this was like just some made up, ordinary, everyday people. Wake up with powers that they didn't have. Some are politicians, some are criminals, some are good people, some are bad people. And then
I heard about that show.
It's a very good show.
Because I know the logo where it's like a gold and then the O is like the eclipse.
Yeah, it's very good. It kind of fell off the rails after a couple seasons. I think they had some too famous of people being in it, and it kind of derailed it.
When did it come out?
I would say 06 or 07, around then. And I think it did like 4 seasons, but it took like a 2 or 3 year break at one point. But I believe the pilot was a masterpiece. And at the end of it, you find out that like the cheerleader girl, her dad is like this agent who works for a company that captures people with powers, and like she's trying to hide her powers from him and things like that. And it's just like this web, like this web of all these people across the globe are all connected. And like I said, I think that was just an iconic pilot episode, especially for my lifetime. Like I said, like I remember them promoting that for 6 months to a year on every football game, every fucking Jimmy Kimmel, and all that shit.
Yeah, I might have to check it out.
It's a pretty quick watch, and like you definitely like it. Like I said, it's just like it's a superhero show where like it's about a bunch of superheroes and like an organization of people who are trying to kill the ones who are too dangerous or that won't work for them type of shit.
Yeah.
And like, well, there's also like a big bad guy who's killing heroes and collecting their powers and turning himself into like a god, basically.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Anyways, sorry, blinked for a sec, guys. Next on my list, I had Ozark, and the pilot was called Sugarwood. I was debating putting this on here because I don't know, it felt predictable. Also, I mean, it's if Walking Dead's predictable as fuck. But I've just been like a mega fan, so I was able to break that down more. I have to rewatch.
I'd probably say Walking Dead's probably number one. If
it's definitely
unbiasedly,
top 5.
I mean, I love Walking Dead, but I can't think of a more talked about pilot than Walking Dead, like or just first season in general.
Yeah.
But I just think like Walking Dead for like I think
to
some
recently,
vein, it changed TV. Like everything used to be so niche based. Like, everybody didn't watch Sopranos, even though it was a masterpiece.
Yeah. Not everyone
like
Breaking Bad till Netflix.
I think Walking Dead came at like the birth. I won't say the birth, but like the when social media finally blossomed, where like
to an extent,
where everyone's just like everyone's posting like you have to watch Walking Dead. Like when I grew up, I knew Sopranos was dope, but like everybody didn't watch Sopranos.
Yeah,
like everybody didn't watch The Wire. Like we grew up in the era now where like everybody watched. Who the fuck didn't watch Walking Dead? Who didn't watch Game of Thrones? Like just these weird things that people didn't do. Like.
Yeah, I remember. I just recently, as you guys know, I just recently watched
Game of Thrones
this past year, and like I said, I was the weird one, which is funny. But yeah, like I said, guys, Ozark, Sugarwood, their pilot episode within the you show. I forgot his business. I should have written it down, but in like the first 10 minutes, we get introduced to, well, in the intro, we see Marty and we see how sad his life is really. First 10 minutes, he's with the client talking about some insurance bullshit. They're just blabbing, right? And then he, from his PI, he opens up a file and it shows that his wife is cheating. I mean, just like watching her getting fucked. Like, it's like, imagine like me just sitting here watching like, or I guess Sean, because he's married, watching his wife just getting fucked as we're doing an episode, and we're doing a review.
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah,
it was bad.
going.
Yeah,
that was so weird. He's like, and it wasn't like he didn't get distracted or anything.
Yeah,
he still held that conversation like nothing was happening.
I guess it's foreshadowing how just like Marty's always calm under pressure.
Yeah.
Type of shit.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I put down to. It shows how sad his life is, and obviously the cartel is introduced because his business partner was doing some slimy shit with that, and like Sean said. We just really saw how Marty, or it foreshadowed how well Marty works under pressure.
He talks his way out of
he's like a good bullshitter. Like obviously we know he gets out of situations, but he doesn't fucking know that in that situation. He just says some words that calms him down. He's like, and they're like, okay, yeah, that worked. And he's like, and then he goes home. He's like, how the fuck am I gonna do this? He's like, I just got to buzz another 12 hours. Yeah, Marty, fast on his feet. And the funny part was, I thought this was like in the episode or two later. No, it was like towards like the end. Wendy's side piece, he's going to confront him. He's like hyping himself. He's like, I'm gonna fucking talk to that piece of shit. Da 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 da. And then we fucking see the guy get thrown out the fucking window.
I'll say to build off what you're saying right there. The first like 20 minutes of the pilot episode of Ozarks is extremely intense.
Yeah,
it opens up like you said. He's watching his wife get fucked. Mm-hmm. Then cut to the cartel kicking the door of his accounting firm and basically kill everybody except for Marty.
Yep.
Then and they're about to kill Marty. Marty pisses himself and talks his way out of it.
Yep.
They send Marty home. They know that his wife's cheating on him, and fucking like you said. Next scene, Marty's walking up to talk to that guy, and he gets thrown out of like 30 floors up in the air, and like dead, like explodes right.
And then
in front
he's
of Marty.
like, whoop, turns right back around, and walks to his car,
and then like. Fucking calls fucking his wife and's like, we gotta go fucking now. He's dead or something. She tells him he's dead or whatever. Like, and then like, you know what I mean? Then he has to have that uncomfortable conversation with his wife where like the cartel's gonna kill his bitch.
Yep.
Like,
yeah, it was so good. Like I said, that showed the first season. That episode really established my hate for Wendy, and it's so weird. They did that show so good. I give credit to Ozarks for this, where you hated Wendy. Like the first season, like a majority of people fucking hated her. Like
honestly, to me, she always just felt like the villain. Like
she did, but like
the cartel
then
guy
you started to understand. Like they welded it. Where it was like, oh, okay, I can kind of side with her. And they're like, actually, no, she's a fucking cunt.
Crazy bitch,
dumb bitch. Like they did it really well.
You
with
meet
her.
other people who've known them for a long time, and she's a bitch to all of them. Like I said, Wendy to me was always the bad guy of that show. The only other time I thought there was somebody else as a bad guy was that old white bitch.
She was a fucking psycho.
And her husband, they were kind of like, but like the cartel dude, like wasn't really a bad guy. He was just like a businessman, like who had to be ruthless.
He was doing his job.
But like he would do nice things for them. So it's like he was like a bad guy in the overall sense of things. But like he wasn't like a truly a villain to Marty. Like that, like Wendy kept doing dumb shit that like put them in the crossfire
Wendy's a fucking
to
bitch.
make the cartel want to kill them. Like
I fucking hated Wendy.
But like the cartel would have been content with fucking Marty and them just figuring out like flipping the money.
Wendy was always starting shit. Like bitch, shut up.
She was always trying to get bigger than they were. The casino, all that shit. Like
and like Marty's like, I'm literally just trying to, and like it wasn't like Marty's clearly the bad guy. Marty's like, okay, we do this and we are fucking free. Wendy's like, well, no, let's get more involved with the
president of the United States.
She's like, let's get more involved with the cartel, and then I'm gonna bitch about it. I'm like, I want to fucking kill you, bitch. Like that annoyed me so much.
They like you said, they spawned that. I guess like you said, I don't know if it's foreshadowing, but like the initial like the first thing you see is Wendy's a piece of shit.
Yes.
Like she's cheating on her family. Like Marty seems like a good enough guy. Got good enough kids. Like he's taking care of his family. Looks like in a great way. And it's fucking, and she's getting fucked by somebody else. So it's like
some older guy too.
Yeah,
some
like
old
so it's like
fuck.
fucking. She's a fucking piece of shit, and they open the show like letting you know that like a lot of shows
she's very
are like
selfish.
A lot of shows like that where like the wife's the victim when the husband's a criminal. They're like, oh, she's just the kind of how they painted the bitch in Breaking Bad.
Fuck her, Skyler.
But like they paint her out the victim, like you know what I mean. He's an abuser. It's like
but she never changed. Like at least with Wendy, like she was like kept like. You like I was gonna bring that up too. Is like Skylar versus Wendy. Wendy, like you would like kind of side with that at some points. I watched Breaking Bad at least 5 to 8 times in my life. I've never been like, I understand Skylar. I'm like, honestly, fuck you.
Yeah,
Like,
Skylar's a stupid
only
bitch.
time she was
But
cool.
what I'm saying is like they always like she was always painted as the victim by everybody.
Yeah.
Like even though you don't like her, nobody likes her, but like she clearly is the victim of the situation. Like Wendy, like is fucking pouring gasoline on the fire. She's the one causing all the
Fuck,
major
and she's like,
problems.
why is this happening? I'm like, I hate you. I fucking hate you. It was the worst.